All right, Ultimate Hoops Nation. I'm Aaron Wimsett. This is Sonny and Aaron. This is the Good and the Bad, the Ugly 3-cap edition. Elite Eight tonight in Fridley. Bloomington South teams don't do so well. Fridley teams do well, minus the Muskies. So let's just break down all 4 games. Muskies Blazers, best game of the night. Back and forth the whole game. I know you didn't get to see much of it, but they pretty much the Muskies did a good job. But they took, Jake was going to get his, but they took him out of the game for the most part. There's actually Brandon Hoffman of the Blazers that carried the team. I think he finished with 22 or 20 points, and he was shooting from the outside, making layups. He's a good player. It's the first time I've actually got to watch. I think probably a full Blazers game, and he played a lot. And he's a good player.
Yeah, that's a solid. You need that 4th guy. You already focused on your main guard's going to guard Bryant. Your main 3 is going to take Jake, and you have your off guard on Devin. So you need that 4th guy that sometimes come through for you. And he stepped up. It was just they couldn't hold on at the end.
Yeah, the Blazers. Did you get to see the end?
No.
Yeah,
I heard that there was a lot of free throw missing.
A lot. Yeah, the Blazers pretty much had it signed, sealed, delivered if they could have made their free throws. They had 5 missed free throws in the last, I think, 20 seconds maybe. I think Devin Hemrick missed 3. I want to say Marmol missed a pair. Anyways, they had pretty much 5 shots at, winning the game. And end of the game, off missed free throws. Zach Makray, the Muskies are only down by 2, I believe. And Zach Makray shot a 3 from the corner here. It was kind of an awkward shot to me. It looked like he was fading to his left, and but swish went in, game winner. I think there was 2 seconds left. The Blazers throw it to Gabe, and he had a shot at it. Just didn't go in.
I think Zach was the X Factor pick last night, right? Yeah, and I mean, for even more breakdown, here's Junius Ho with his interview. Good evening, Ultimate Hoops Nation. I'm Sonny Younggraves. I'm here with Junius Ho of the Muskies, who knock out the #1 seeded Blazers. How you feel?
Feel pretty redeemed, definitely.
My word would say it's pretty justified that you knocked them out. I mean, the karma, the forcing you into that morale game with your own franchise, and then you see them next round.
Yeah, I think I was past my whole monologue and soliloquies on This Week in Rec and writing these long things, and this time I decided to be a little quiet and let our game do the talking because Blazers #1 seed, solid team, and it was not a sure thing at all. But in terms of this new seeding system, what I love is that other things other than pure basketball enter into the fray. And when I was talking to Jake yesterday in the locker room, it sounded like it wasn't a pure basketball decision that went into it. And you talked about it, Briggs talked about it, Izzy talked about it, and even as a FOB GM, there's no way I wanted to see the Muskies in the first round. Regardless, even if you could clone me, you could clone Casey, you could clone John, right? I wouldn't want to have that matchup. So it was a great game. We were fortunate that their free throws didn't really fall, and I think after I fouled out, I was trying to tell everybody what the game was about. It was still a 1-possession game, and if you keep hearing that and you keep going to the line and you keep hearing that, it's got to get to you at some point. And then obviously Zach, just like Mike did in week 2 when we were it's almost exactly the same game, that buzzer-beating kind of last-second 3. And I told the guys before, keep them under 60, and we're going to win this game. Well, we didn't keep them under 60, but it was close enough.
Well, I'm glad you held my prediction true with the Muskies win.
1 for 1.
1 for 1. The second game going on right now. It's not looking too good for me right now.
Ooh.
But mean, there's time for a comeback.
This is a shootout, so you'll never know what happened. Just remember last night in that Gorillas game too.
Yeah.
When you got teams that are sort of offensively minded, you never know what's going to happen. But the same thing with defense, and we're just really, I'm so excited. Muskies, it had to go at the expense of fob, unfortunately. And by the way, John and I were not throwing that game. If you see the box score, it's all competitive bones in my body, so there's just no way we would try to go 0 for 19, just in case anybody was wondering. But the Muskies never having made it out to the Sweet 16. Last season we had a good shot, but Trevor played with UNO, and that totally changed our whole dynamic. So really happy for Casey and the guys. And I think the other thing too is it really helps to only have one team, man, because Ant and Briggs were exhausted last night. They were dying.
That's a plus. Well, thanks for your time.
All right.
We'll send it back to you.
Thanks.
All right, well, we'll predict their game after we get through breaking down the games tonight. Next game was Shockers versus the Blue Chips. Kind of similar story to the Muskies game. The Blue Chips did a good job. Great team defense. Did a really good job of shutting down Zhao and Jake and forcing the rest of the Shockers to beat them. Another one that was pretty much close throughout, and then the Blue Chips, I don't know if it was their it was because of them being a veteran team or what, but they pulled it out at the end.
Yeah, I would say the ball movement of the Blue Chips, and they found the hot guy. They tried to go through J. Mike a little bit, tried to go through Arsenio, tried to work the ball in down low, Wetzel making cuts, and then it ended up with all that not working out. Came out to be Tony DeBoer, which was the X-Factor pick, and was running off screens, cutting through the lane. I think he hit three. I think it was three. The first one to spark and get them the lead, and then he banked one in, and then he sealed one on the opposite wing to give them, I believe it was a 6-point lead, and then they held on to it and made their free throws.
Yeah, I mean pretty much the second night in a row when you even going into last night's game, you're like they're gonna need DeBoer to show up big. 2 nights, he's going to have to do it even more so next week. I mean, hopefully Wetzel's knee is just another hyperextension, but he said it wasn't. Adam Wetzel goes down, with 2 minutes left in the game?
I think it was about a minute 40 left on the clock, and he went down on a fast break. And it wasn't even a for sure bucket, so that's one of those plays where you hate to lose somebody when it could have been if you would have just slowed it up and just pulled it out. He stays safe. And for more thoughts, there's Arsenio with his interview. Hey, Ultimate Hoops Nation, it's Sonny Young Graves here with Arsenio Richardson of the Blue Chips, beating the Shockers tonight, defeating the number 4 seed, 12 seed. How you feel?
Feel real good, man. It was a nice team effort. Tony DeBoer, Kevin Mayer, them dudes was spectacular. Kevin on defense, J. Mike on D, Tony on offense, Ant was a beast down low. It was just a team win. You know what I'm saying? We didn't make all the open shots like we made last night, but we made the extra effort plays. That's what you got it done for us. We made our free throws down the stretch. So, it was a big win for us.
Okay. I see, end of the game, Wetzel goes down. What are you thinking for the rest of your playoffs?
Man, to be honest, he got a week to rest because we played 6 days to rest. He better Tylenol, ibuprofen, and be ready to go. If he can't go, that's definitely a tough blow, especially because we'll play the Muskies, and they super feisty, and that's when he's at his best. So hopefully he'll be able to go. He leaving in a wheelchair. I don't know. I ain't never seen him miss no games for no injury, so hopefully, he'll be back. But shout out to the James for wanting to see the Muskies and taking that L. James, guess what that is? Karma.
Looks like I'm 2 for 2 tonight. My 2 X factors, Zhao and Tony DeBoer. Tony DeBoer steps up in the second half, and Bond locks down Zhao in the second half. So that was a great play. Back to you.
Yeah, so the blue chips they'll need Briggs to probably play more. Again, hopefully it's not something serious in ACL and MCL. Best of luck to you, Adam.
Well, I would say the good about that is Briggs has a 3-point streak going right now.
And he shouldn't.
The bad about that is you're going to ask him to play over 22 minutes. And the ugly is I don't think he's played that since the Blue Horns or the Green Horns. Yeah, I'm calling them out.
And I don't think the Blue Chips ever made it to the Final Four. So I think this the first time in however many seasons. They've been around for a while. Yep. Third game was Squires versus Free Ballers. I didn't expect that. Free Ballers blow the Squires out. Squires just played really sloppy. They had I don't even know how many turnovers they had, but I bet you they had 10 plus. Missed a bunch of little bunnies. They were rebounding well. They were getting a bunch of offensive rebounds, but they just didn't look. They didn't look like the Squires. I don't know if it was the Fridley Gym coming from Bloomington South or what, but the Squires didn't look like the Squires.
Yeah, it's definitely a rude awakening for the non-crossover players because this gym, the rims are unforgiving, and basically their ball movement, they couldn't make open shots. And I mean, I think this on the pregame or predictions, I said it's going to come down who can make open shots, and Jake stepped up and made. I had to say I saw about 4 or 5 threes, and Rue playing solid defense. He had to have at least five or six steals, interrupting passes, just everywhere on the floor, slowing the pace down, running the show. Their floor general, and then Dre playing lockdown defense also, and they kept Taylor in control. And Hamill and Springer had a pretty rough game, so it was tough. And Free Ballers came out with the win.
Big smash versus the Avengers. You guys are up at 1. You're up by 1 at half. I think they outscored you by 17 in the second half. The Avengers win 65-49.
It was just basically it was an uncharacteristic game for Big Smash. Normally we'll have our dysfunction, we won't get along, but we know how to get through that and play. But tonight it was just more of a playing out of your normal thing. Like I know me and Twan talk after every game, and I'll say to him that he needs to move the ball or make the extra pass, and he takes it, soaks it in, goes out one ear. Next week he's back doing the same thing, and then you wait till the Elite Eight to start trying to make those extra passes. And given it's a great idea, but it was to the point where you were forcing some of those extra passes, and he wasn't really looking to score a lot. He's looking more dump over to Ken or try to get a quick kick out. And I'll admit, I know for me, the whole game, whoever was on me was as close as you are right now, all game. I probably got 2 clean looks. And other than that, Avengers played a solid game. Dre played solid. Chris played solid. It was just a all well-rounded game for them.
Yeah, I mean, to me it was Avengers team ball. I mean, you know, one-on-one ball can only get you so far. And even, you know, Greg was yelling from the bench, you know, stop with the one-on-one ball. You guys got up, and then, you know, early on, and you kind of were starting to get a roll going, and then it was, you know, you weren't passing enough. Yeah, and the Avengers, they played good defense. Jake Acherhoff and Andre matched up well with Ken and Maxey and Garland, and And yeah, I mean, you guys didn't make a sub for what, the first probably like 12, 14 minutes in the game, and Maxie looked tired probably after 8.
Yeah, I mean, it was a great matchup. Like, it was perfect. So you have Maxie and Dre, you have Jake and Twan, and then you have Garland and Chris, which is perfect size matchups, and then you have Greg and Noe and either me and Trey. So everybody matched up evenly. It was no mismatch on the floor, but it was basically they spaced the ball and worked around. We didn't have the spacing. It wasn't all contributed to one-on-one ball. It was we didn't space the floor, and we had too many turnovers because people in the same spot and too crowded. But.
All right, we won't dive too deep into the Final Four games. I think Chase will be writing a prediction article, if he does, or if he can. So the Muskies will face the Blue Chips. They didn't play this season, so it'll be the first time they've played this season. The Blue Chips will probably most likely be without Wetzel, which again is a big hit to them. Who are you picking in that game?
No Wetzel. Trying to think. Let's see. Arsenio match up with probably Zach or Bennett. You have. Trying to think. Who would they put John on? Who would they put Christensen on in that game? Jermichael. Rablin and Briggs or Ant. It's a tough one. I'm going to. I have to go with the Muskies.
Me too. The Avengers will play the 3 ballers, all Fridley. So we got all Fridley versus Bloomington South. So we'll have one Fridley team and one Bloomington South team in the championship. The Avengers did play the free ballers in the regular season. I think the Avengers were iron 5, but the free ballers crushed them. I think they won by 22. I mean, I think this game will be a different story. I think this game will be really close. Your thoughts?
I'll say the free ballers still out hustle and work. If the Avengers show up with all 8, it'll be probably down to the last 10 minutes. It's the first person to make a mistake. But if the free ballers keep rolling like they did tonight, I can see an easily another 15-point win.
I'm taking the Avengers in that one. I'm going Avengers. Any final thoughts heading into the Final Four?
Well, I'll have to say, still stick with my ugly, is Bryant Marmol. I pulled into the Fridley parking lot, and he yelled from his car that he was retiring. So that right there told me that first the Muskies won. He must have choked in some way, shape, or form. And I don't know what to say. It's just rough. James and Jake sat in the room and made sure they lined up with Junius any way, and it burned them.
Yep. Final Four will be next Wednesday in Bloomington South, and then the championship will be Thursday in Bloomington South. We'll see you next week, guys.
But guess what? I hit my free throws. Well, I'm talking?
Bond and Briggs, the ball's in your court. You know what I mean?